guess got some stuff with the MLK to discuss.
Okay, good evening. Essentially, the MLK Center is around and is supposed to provide services for residents. Now, currently, the lease that we have with the existing not-for-profit that has been working in the building had expired quite some time ago, and they're operating in a holdover situation. So we have been approached by a couple of not-for-profits that have expressed some interest in, potentially being able to provide additional services than what are currently being provided there. So we have been talking about the idea of putting out a request for either proposals or qualifications for qualified not-for-profits that would be able to provide services to the community out of the building. And we think that this might be a great way to go. We could have more than one organization in there, which we currently have one. We could have more than one providing various different types of services. And this is pretty much something for discussion, I guess, with the council as to what direction you'd like to go in with respect to, the current handling of the MLK building and just the services to the community.
This is Karen. Can you talk a little bit about the history of the building? I thought it was a city building that was built in the 1960s.
I'm not completely familiar with the history of the building. I think you are correct that it was built somewhere around that time. And there has, as I said, been a very long-term lease with a not-for-profit. As part of that lease, that lease expired, but as part of that, certain conditions did require building maintenance and upkeep and repairs to be done by the not-for-profit that was occupying the building. However, it's my understanding from Tommy Cantor and some of the other building maintenance people that we are still providing, I guess, repairs and updates, and a number of parts of the building have fallen into somewhat of a disrepair, and it's fallen back on the city to do these repairs, even though that wasn't necessarily what was originally contemplated. So we are incurring that cost.
Wait. Simone, can you clarify that we're actually doing repairs that were actually designated by the lessee should have taken care of? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because yes, we are, and the lease has expired, as I said, so now we're in a holdover situation, which is a slightly different legal relationship, but we have been taking on the responsibility because it still is our building, and we're leasing it out, but we are still responsible.
So
go ahead.
By responsible, are you saying that we are taking on the financial obligations to maintain the facility, even though the lessee is required to?
Yes, because of our insurance and liability obligations. If the work is not being done, it's still our property, so we're still liable in the event that something happens. So it's my understanding that we've been doing it in order to maintain compliance because certain things haven't been done.
And as far as my current understanding, there's some capital improvements that are required for the building. Is that correct?
I believe so, but DPW could speak better to that than I can.
Okay, and have we had a recent appraisal on the building?
I don't believe we've had a recent appraisal. As far as I know, we have not. We probably could do that through our tax assessor's office.
We use companies to do appraisals, and no, we have not, Karen, had an appraisal, or at least I haven't seen one or heard of one on that particular building.
So it sounds like this is a really good opportunity to make sure that we understand the values of all of our buildings across the city and make sure that our appraisals are current, regardless, again, for all of our buildings. And then maybe see what the capital requirements are from the MLK Center, because I thought there were some issues. And
there are some.
If I remember, I think there's something with the roof.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some issues with the building. We will talk to Tommy Canner and see if we can get an appraisal, and that's a very good idea to get all of our buildings appraised as we can, so we know what the values are. But the reason Simone is bringing up MLK is because MLK, the building itself from the city has a commitment to the community there to bring in services. And so we've had other nonprofits come in and say, we can offer services to that community, several different types of services. We do have a lease. And so one of Simone's tasks was to look at the lease, to find out we're in compliance where we are, and find out what the board's pleasure is with the building. Do you want to go out for an RFP to see who else can bring in services? It's not to say that the agency is there now they would have their chance as well to bid or send in something for the RFP. It also means that there might be more than one agency in. We have to take that community and that section of the community and see what services they need to make sure that if the city is saying that the MLK building is a building that will provide services to that community, that we're hearing the residents and that we're also in compliance, because as you well know that we have RFPs out for the Magnolia Center and for the ice arena.
Okay.
We're bringing in additional people.
I wasn't aware of that. So it sounds like that we're going across the board. We're doing RFPs for all of our facilities, all of our services to make sure that we serve the residents as best as we can. So it sounds like this is the right thing to do. It's a due diligence process, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. So thank you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we look at having, if we have other buildings, I don't know if we own, when I say we, I mean the city, has stake in the West End. I know it's the West End Community Center. Do we rent that from the school? Is that part of our building? As well as Karen said, the other buildings around the town, how can we best find out what each neighborhood wants? Do we go to the civics? Do we go to Concerned Citizens of North Park? Do we go to WENCA and ask for a survey? Do we get a committee together? There are vocal voices in every part of the city. I'd like to hear from the people that don't talk so much and see what they want. What are their needs?
We could try to come up with something. We let myself and the team work together on where we have buildings that can service the community, figure out what's the best way during this era, this pandemic era, to get the information we need.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Simone, you had
Yes.
mentioned you wanted us to consider a request for proposal because there's only one type of service that's being offered currently, but there may be parties interested in offering multiple services. Would that be accurate? Okay.
Yes, well, it could be a range. I mean, you've been approached by other non-for-profits that have basically indicated that they could provide other services than are currently being served for that community that they do need. So we're basically saying we should probably put out a request for proposals or qualifications to, get back proposals and determine what, assess the need of the community. And then if we can have more than, it's always better to provide more services than less to the community. So if we can do that, that would be good.
I just want to mention that there is a rich history about the MLK Center in Long Beach. And there was I think it was a professor that actually wrote an editorial in the Long Beach Herald talking about the importance of the MLK Center to our community. Therefore, I would just hope that we are cognizant of that history and that we make sure that we stay as close as we can to the original mission and intent of that location.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Like Liz said, I think community input and their needs, and if it's not being provided for, and that should be incorporated in the soon-to-be future RFP. So collectively, all bases are covered. The one question I have, is there somebody or some group or some organization that wanted to come in to help distribute, whether it's like a vaccine testing site or something, where they couldn't because of a conflict?